Magyar szólások és közmondások angolul beszélőknek.
Hungarian sayings and proverbs for English speakers. Best cooks.
Legjobb szakács az éhség.
A short one this time, quite straightforward. Szakács is a cook. I think we've met her before. Éhség is hunger. Éhség's an interesting word. We're going to look at the shég bit later, but it comes from éhes, which you may know. Éhes is to be hungry. So we've taken éhes and we've created éhség, which means hunger. And a actually comes from észek. Trouble with very common words, they tend to get quite irregular, even in Hungarian. We also have éhető, which means edible. What else have we got here? Legjobb, best. We've met this before as well. Jó, jobb, legjobb. Good, better, best. So word by word. Best cook the hunger. Remember, in Hungarian, for a sentence like this, we do not have the verb to be, but it is implied. Hunger is the best cook. That is, for a hungry person, everything is delicious. So let's have a look more at cooking. There's two main verbs used for cooking, and furs is the general one. But strictly speaking, furs actually means to boil or stew. That is, you've got water involved. And we can create new words from the verb. So furs is he cooks, she cooks, it cooks. Főzés, cooking in general. Főző is a cooker, that is a gas cooker. And there's főzelék. It's a vegetable dish. Even though I ate Hungarian food for many years, főzelék I didn't actually come across until about 10 years ago. It's a thick soup or thin stew made of vegetables. And again, that alék is another ending we'll have a look at later. It means the results of the verb. So the result of cooking is a főzelék. And you say what type of főzelék. So Bob főzelék is főzelék made with beans. Turk főzelék is a főzelék made with marrows or pumpkins or squash, something from that family. The other main verb is shoot, to bake, fry or roast, that is to cook without water. From here we get sütemény, which is often called a süti, which is a cake or a pastry. Sütés, again, is the general idea of baking or roasting. And a sütő is an oven. You can see the pattern here. The is giving you where you do the verb, and the és is making a noun out of the verb. So shoot főz is to do a lot of cooking and baking. We looked at cooking utensils in Patience, so I'm not going to go through those again. But I am going to try and look at a few traditional foods. It was really hard to choose just 5 or 6. We'll go for the main courses first. Goulash, gulyás. It's a soup or a thin stew. It has to be made with beef to be a gulyás, because that's what it means. Gulyás is a herd of cattle. And it has onions and paprika. That's your basics. I've got a whole video on this, and you can look at this if you're interested in the derivation of the word, the way the dish has changed over time, and there's even a recipe there. What many people call gulyás is actually more of a pörkurt. And this is a thick stew. It stands on its own. There's not a lot of juice. You cook it. It's actually quite hard to cook properly because it will burn if you're not careful. So there's not a lot of water. You just singe it or roast it. So it comes from the verb pörkurt. You can use any meat with a pörkurt. You can have chicken, you can have pork, you can have beef. You can even have fish, I think. And it has onions, and paprika. Everything has paprika in it. There's also paprikash, which is again a stew with any meat. It has a lot more onions than the others, so the onions almost make like a sauce, and paprika, and usually with sour cream. It's not required, but it is usually put the sour cream, and you put the sour cream in right at the end. If you add the sour cream to a little bit of the juice, to make sure it doesn't curdle. Please do not put flour in your paprikash. Legjobb. Again, a stew. So these are all things that you, apart from perkut, that you furs, and that your base is peppers, onions, tomatoes, and paprika. You could add a number of other things. It's usually cooked with solana, which is bacon fat, although vegetarians or health-conscious people might want to do it just with oil. That is also done. And sometimes they actually add sausages. I've actually seen smoked meat added to it. Less common is courgettes, although it does happen. And again, another variation has rice, and another variation has egg. So there are quite a few different types of Legjobb. When I'm in Hungary, I always attend a local Legjobb festival or competition where everyone cooks their own variety, and you can go around and taste a wide variety of different Legjobbs. And törtott káposzta, stuffed cabbage. Again, it comes from the verb tört, which means to pour, fill, stuff, load. Two main versions, one made with sauerkraut, szárnyú káposzta, and one with fresh cabbage, that is not pickled cabbage. It again has another two variations. Usually with the fresh cabbage you'll have a tomato-based sauce, and with the szárnyú káposzta sometimes you'll get a gravy. That's just a small tasting of traditional Hungarian food. What about cakes and sweets? Again, a wide variety. Dobos torta, layered with chocolate buttercream and topped with a hard toffee. In fact, if it's not been cut beforehand, it's very hard to get into, so they often actually pre-cut it for you. It's not a drum cake, but it's named after the chef who created it, Joseph Dobos. And that was in 1885. That was for the big exhibition that was held in Budapest. These world fairs were very popular at the end of the 19th century. Zsebó is more of a square, and it has lovely, shiny, rich chocolate on top and apricot and walnut layers within. And this was named after the chef as well. And if you're looking at the thing and you're saying, wait a minute, Gerberd, no, his name is actually pronounced Zsebó in Hungarian. It's often served at Christmas along with the very famous bagli, because it's actually these cakes are special occasion cakes. You're not something you're going to whip up just because you're feeling a bit peckish. Kremes, a bit like what we call a custard square in New Zealand. It's a puff pastry and a pastry cream in it. Rigo Janci. Now this is more of a dessert. It's a chocolate sponge and mousse dessert, so it's quite light, but you will actually get this served in a coffee shop as a cake, but it's much lighter than a cake. It wasn't created by Rigo Janci. He wasn't the chef, but rather he was a very famous Roma violinist. There's a sort of a tragic love story that goes with it. He married actually a Belgian countess, Clara Ward, but it didn't end well. Rigo Janci's life did not end well either. Seeing we're meant to have a Kiwi twist, what about traditional New Zealand food? New Zealand has quite a eclectic mix of food. These days you're more likely to see Asian or Mediterranean food than anything from Britain. But our two iconic dishes are fish and chips, and yes, those seagulls do come after them if you're not careful, and Pavlova, Moving on, let's have a look at that shag, shag, and sometimes you get éhség as well. It creates a noun from a verb or an adjective, and it usually expresses an abstract action. So let's look at some examples. So segít, he helps, she helps, it helps, becomes segítség, help. Tudatlan means ignorant, and again you can see this coming from tud, meaning to know. Tudatlan means ignorant, tudatlanság, ignorance. Egész is all or whole. Egészség is health, something that is whole, that is all. And so in Hungary we have egészségedre. All ness your for your health. Cheers. Egészségedre. Éhes, as we said at the beginning, far less common is this lék, elék, alék, and the ek does not change, even if it's a front or back vowel word. So again, it creates a noun from a verb or adjective, and it usually expresses the result or means of an action. And for these examples, I actually had to go to my textbook. I couldn't think any off the top of my head, apart from főzet lék. So tot means he holds, she holds, it holds. Tartalék is reserve. Fug is it hangs. Függelék is something that hangs off, something like an appendix in a book or a tree decoration. And mush, he washes, she washes, it washes. Mushlék is the result of this, it's swill.
Legjobb szakács az éhség.
Hunger is the best cook. I hope you're hungry to learn more Hungarian. And don't forget that like and the comment so other people can find this video. Until next time, viszlát!